Welcome to Spiritual Boom, the video and audio podcast. I'm your host, Eden Kaz, a soul realignment and new earth specialist. My show has evolved from talking about the Great Awakening to really focusing on the new earth and more discussing and being the shiny, new, ascended human. My website, edenjustbe.com, and let's get this party started. Hello there. We're about to begin the show, but first, I want you to check out my nails. I just got them done. For those of you who can't see, they're red with white polka dots. They're so freaking cute. Okay, I'm distracted. Ray Maor is about to be on the show. He was the gentleman. He's a breatharian expert in fasting. He was the one who was my facilitator for this a month ago, and we're going to go into everything about how we both should be dead, thriving with minimal food and water. You will see how many calories I'm taking in at this point, which again, unbelievable. How to redefine nutrition and nourishment and to alter programming. One thing I wanted to say to you guys, because you'll hear me talk about this a lot, that this breatharianism is actually what I feel is going to be the new earth way of living. So Ray and I are going to be partnering up as we continue, because all of my clients that come to me as I work on being more of a new earth specialist, I'm going to really promote this and really, pretty much say that to go into this new earth, that this is pivotal for you. And this isn't, Ray will talk about the balance. It's not giving up food. You don't give up food forever or water. It's just striking that that you no longer need it, that when you have it, you just have it. It's a whole new paradigm. So anyway, I am going to start offering a 10% discount to those who want to go through this initiation process with Ray. So I will include my link. It's a little difficult. So it's Ray, and his last name is spelled Maor. So this is www.edenjustbe/ REF reference, REF only equals 390. So I really want to encourage this, and I'll be encouraging it more and more. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I'm also offering 20% on, if you can see, for those who are watching, this Pure Wave Energized Honey. So check out episode 214. It talks more about 4RBs. Sarah, my dear friend and client who also listens to the show, basically says this honey is amazing. It is using sacred geometry. It is different than anything else. And part of my job is to let people know about amazing energetic vibrational things that are happening, that are being created in this world right now. I don't think I've been looking exactly at the camera until now. Also, they also have the Pure Wave Cell. So discover more about that. I sleep with it under my pillow. I have it under my chair when I'm working. So as we move into this new vibration, which is really happening now, there are so many tools, so many things that help. And you'll also see on the podcast, I'm on a dry fast for 24 hours and also eating minimal. I still, even though have a little bit of this, I used to have a teaspoon every day, but now that I'm going through this process, I've minimalized it. But it is, I'm just sitting here holding it going, oh, I want some right now. All right, let's begin. Eden Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warriors Network. Okay, out of Tel Aviv, Ray, you say your last name.
Ray Maor.
Ray Maor.
Yes. Maor
Breatharian.
means in Hebrew, bringer of light.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and you're sitting here with Eden. The
That's
Garden of
right.
Eden. Oh my gosh, isn't this so perfect? All right, breatharian and fasting expert, who was my recent guide in March 2026, just a month ago, for my breatharian initiation, which is dramatically moving you away from food and water as that being your main nutrient source, where your life starts focusing on your life force, prana, breathing. So it is a dramatic change. So we'll talk more about this. For y'all to know, which I've talked about this a lot, I have not consumed food since May 15th, consuming juices only and light broth. And Ray, I was thinking about this. It's probably 300 to 200 calories a day.
Something like that. Yes. In the
Yeah.
beginning, everybody's very extreme.
Ooh, very extreme. Okay, and then we did a dry fast with the initiation. I went for 4 days without food and water, and you're supposed to die after 3. Several went for 5, several went for 8. Ray, what's the most you've done at this point? Is it 8?
Um, The longest I've done is 10 days. I
10
did
days.
8 days on TV,
We're going to talk about that.
under yeah, doctors and stuff like that. But the longest I did myself, the longest someone did in initiation is 9 days. And I was a little bit afraid about that, first time dry fasting and stuff, but
It
they
was their
actually
first
went home and
time.
continued. Huh?
Oh my God. And it was their first time doing dry fasting. And dry fasting, for those who don't know, means no food, no water. And there are two levels of that. There's a soft dry fast and a hard dry fast. Hard means you don't brush your teeth, you don't shower as well. So we did soft dry fast. But they had never dry fasted at all.
That's right. But they were very clean, very mentally healthy as well. So someone that knows who they are, has the right intention, knows the mechanism of the emotional eating and mind games. Usually those ones survive longer, let's call it.
Okay, so Ray and I should both be dead. What we're doing is impossible. What he's been doing for years, people would say is impossible, but it is not. And I am here also to prove that. And I also see this being the way of the new earth. I think this is so friggin' important, which is why I'm going to be talking about it a lot. And Ray and I are really going to be connecting together, which is fabulous. Okay, let me read your official bio. Okay, the one thing I wanted to add in there, you're a 6 foot 4 inch guy. You're a
I
big
am.
guy. Okay. And I love that because my man also went on the initiation. And what was so great was there wasn't this airy fairy woman in, long flowing gowns talking. There was Ray, who's a man's man, and I think made him feel really comfortable. So women coming to you, men coming to you, it's just beautiful. Okay, Ray was born in Israel. Following a normal Israeli life, he joined the military when he was 18 for a 5 year service, followed by a long trip abroad that opened up his eyes to the world of spiritual development. At the age of 31, Ray decided to take a huge leap of faith by going through a 21-day fast, pranic initiation that changed his life forever. Now, Ray is a spiritual breatharian guide that is committed to bringing the self empowering and spiritual development knowledge to all that are in search of a higher understanding of our reality and our divine selves. He is the only Western breatharian that has made a public TV appearance, checked scientifically by medical doctors under supervision while going without food or water for 8 days. I love this because when I first heard about breatharianism, which turned me on to you, he talked about the 21-day initiation. All right, you are the inventor of the 10-day process, the perfect breatharian initiation series for those who seek to understand more about themselves and their origins. Ray currently teaches his process in other workshops in different countries, focusing mainly on Europe and the USA. All right, my first question for you is, how do you perceive the new earth that is parts of it are here right now? What do you think it's going to be like?
Are you talking about the end result, or are you talking about the way that we're going to get there? Because those are like two completely different questions.
Whatever floats your boat. Which one of those do you want to speak of? And
Well, I would love
maybe
to.
both.
I'm very optimistic about the new Earth.
Me too.
Bashar says that we always have to, the train changes lanes, but as long as it's closer to the station, and I believe the lane has been changed
I
for a light
believe.
of the light workers, more optimistic and less realistic, because what we see outside our little bubble is things are getting worse. But actually, we know that it's just before the big change, and then the wave will come and kind of like carry everyone. What is happening now is sacred and is required for a lot of people to wake up, you know?
Yes, indeed. And it's really interesting that as we talk about this right now, you're in the middle of a war zone.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, how's that going? What a trite question to
Well,
ask.
you get used to it when you're in Israeli. Actually, maybe when you're Jewish. So
Man.
I was born into a war zone. When I was fifth grade, we had a war. It's about, usually it's once every decade, but this time it's a little bit more. I guess that the warfare changed because of missiles and technology and things that can make even people very far away kind of attack you. But I wouldn't go into politics here. You know what I mean? It's a war
Yeah.
zone. Nobody likes it. Both sides lose a lot of people that they love. Everybody who said it the best, everybody loves their children.
And I really enjoy talking about this with you because it's not like I'm not in a war zone. I work out of my home. So my life is really pretty great. It's about to change with moving to New Mexico. It's going to change a lot. Yet to be hopeful and to also have all these things going on, like you are in the middle of it, and for people to see the hope and reassurance that you're giving them, I think that's brilliant. And I want to do one more personal thing before we get more into breatharianism. I watched your wedding proposal from nine years ago.
Okay.
So
That wedding proposal
yes,
is what made Anya not want to have a big wedding because she had that her night in that proposal. So we actually got married in Prague and not in Israel. Small wedding, just, relatives and some good friends, and that's it. So it was a
that
good investment.
that is so funny. So I'm encourage people to go to Ray's site and watch that as well. All right, I want to know, and we talked about this a little bit in your bio. You talked about that awakening journey when you were in the military and then turned on to breatharianism. What did you see in that in your journey that opened you up to spirituality? How did that
I
occur?
was in the military. I actually served as a computer programmer, and they used a lot of my head. They took me to the edge of my abilities in my head. And yet, as intelligent as you can be, you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, am I really happy in what I do? Am I really happy? What is the purpose of life? You keep asking yourself these things. And then and what is to be a human being? What is this incarnation? What is this game coming to teach the soul? So you start asking these deeper questions and you understand that the game is very, very different in every stage. And that wakes you up for the discovery of awareness. And what is for me awareness? To pull every string about how I feel and what I think. And ask again, why do I feel the way I feel? Why did I think the way that I think? Why did I say that? Why did I act in that way? And eventually, you do something that, you learn from it and you become very, very self-aware. It doesn't mean that you become enlightened. It means that you accept yourself as you are. And something changes in that time. You begin being much more in the present moment. You understand the different things that put you away from yourself. And this is how I discovered food because I was like, wait a second, I'm playing around with fasting and I feel
Mm.
more in tune, more in the moment, more clear, more intelligent, more sharp. And I'm like, wait a second, food is supposed to be the provider of energy for me. So why, when I deprive myself from that, after about 10 hours, I'm suddenly, I'm also playing ping pong. I'm suddenly a better ping pong player. I'm suddenly a more patient father for my children. And I realized that a lot of the things that I learned I should have are quite the opposite. I should stop and simplify my life and get rid and be more minimalistic in everything that, in what I wear, in the people that I hang out with, in my expectations and stuff like that. And that works quite wonderfully.
So how within that, how did you find your breatharian teacher, the initiation? Did you search for it or did it just kind of pop up while you were asking these questions?
So I like to summarize. So I'll give you the
Yeah.
the juice. So when I
Yes.
was 29, I actually got married to a French girl that I met. It was a marriage of convenience. She wanted to come to live in with me, and she wanted to have an ability to work. And it was like a hellish type of relationship, very dramatic, very not me. A lot of upside downs, a lot of arguments over nothing, which I didn't believe are me. So when I got out of that relationship, I just put her on a flight back home and I said, screw everything. I'm leaving, traveling for a whole year around the world. So I went to 3 months in India and Thailand and Cambodia and France. And I met people and I went to parties and I went traveling and I tried a lot of psychedelics, and I did that like everything that I thought I could get me in tune with a higher perspective on life. Not to work, not to do anything, to be just free and be yourself. When I came back, I decided to volunteer. I came back and lived in Tel Aviv as a young man, and we volunteered about 100 people, very close spiritual group. We went to hospitals to visit people who didn't have any relatives, and we went to buses and made people laugh, and we did all this kind of stuff. And one of these guys, one of the 100, he came to me one day and took me aside and he said, "Ray, I have a secret to tell you that I don't usually tell anyone." And he tells me, I haven't been eating for a year and 7 months. And I was like,
What?
what? What do you mean? And in the questions that people ask me now, yeah, it's the same thing. So where do you get your calories from? And I know this guy, I know he's not a liar. And I asked him how. He said I was in Brazil. We did a 21-day initiation. It's like, wow, it's a whole world to understand. I put that aside. I felt compelled to ask some questions. I put that aside. And then I realized for the next couple of weeks, I can't stop thinking about it. I
Yeah.
just can't. I can't. I sleep. I wake up in the morning. I have dreams about it. I did ayahuasca a couple of times with the shaman, and she always brought me to that breatharian thing, the fasting thing. Sort of like I was guided to that, and I didn't want to argue with my guidance, because synchronicities happen for a reason. So I came back to him. It was a little bit before the end of the Maya calendar. It was like the end of 2012. And I told him in the beginning of 2013, let's do my initiation. Why? Because if the world will end, I won't have to suffer through this.
Right.
So the world didn't end. We had a nice party. Didn't end, and I was initiated 21 days in solitude. I was doing it in the Gaza Strip. It was actually better back then. 7 days of dry fasting immediately after that, 1 week of water, and then 1 week of diluted juice. A lot of time with yourself, a lot of lessons you learn about yourselves. And I came out of there very feminine, like my masculine part, my ego part, the one that wanted to conquer, that wanted to be seen, that kind of like gave place to this more like feminine, gentle energy that accepts and is
Yeah.
patient and is less judgmental of oneself and therefore of others as well. And I said to myself, wow, this is quite a change. I went back to work. I went back to everything like was normal. I broke up with a relationship I had because I found it was not suitable for the person that I became. And then I decided I'm going to teach it. I didn't want to be a teacher. This is like the reluctant hero type of story.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, but then one day, they kept asking me to come on stage and explain about the path, explain about my perception about reality.
Hmm.
And when I went up the first time, I felt so easy and everything was like I was fluent. I didn't think about it. I didn't prepare myself. I just, you go up on stage and suddenly you talk for 90 straight minutes and everybody's like really enjoying and learning quite a lot of it. So I understood that I need to make a group initiation. I need to do something with workshops and a fire walk and an ice bath. I need people to break the paradigms of their fears
Yeah.
and to get uncomfortable like in yoga. Yoga is supposed to make us uncomfortable and eventually comfortable. You become more comfortable, your brain becomes more comfortable when the body is still a little bit suffering. And I wanted them to learn about, the movement. I mean, we always grow when we take that comfort zone and we expand it. When it's here, it's too much. But every time we, blow a little bit more air into the balloon, a little bit more air, and we find that we are very, very satisfied with life because we are actually growing. We are actually achieving new things that we haven't before. And that's actually why a lot of people are depressed because we're not constantly moving. We are moving, we're just stuck. So when you stop being stuck, and this is what breatharianism actually teaches you, because you've probably noticed a lot of people, you've been out for a month, you've been losing some weight, you're struggling with mind games, society, people around you might be judging you, but you're in such a good place, Eden. But you are probably in the group, the WhatsApp group, and you see a lot of people are having a hard time.
Hmm.
It's not for everyone. This is for those consciousness lions that are very optimistic.
I love
People who
that
just
conscious
know.
alliance. Yeah, who just know. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, consciousness lioness in your case,
Oh,
Eden.
Linus, thank you. Rawr. Well, and it's so interesting that I'm going to be presenting. Okay, so a lot right now. So I was thin anyway, about 111 pounds, which normally I had been 114 pounds. But after my divorce, that 6 pounds, wait, am I saying this right? 3 pounds was, I couldn't quite get there. So I have gone down to about 99 to 98 pounds. And what is so interesting about this was the last time I was here was right after I had my near death experience and got out of the hospital. And my body is also, because I've always been very fit as well, it's starting to be a little mushy. So I have to say this. Yesterday, I went in front of the mirror without my clothes on and really thanked my body instead of being like, oh my gosh, look at this. Just thank you so much for being there with me through this. And then I decided when I talk about this in front of a good bit of people this weekend, I am just going to embrace all of it versus, oh my gosh, look at, yeah, I'm losing weight and I'll gain it back, soon. But just, it is so, this process is so liberating and so amazing to be in it and knowing that I'm going through it right now to take it to the next level of excitement that I
Hmm.
am lioness, like you said, I am doing it. All right, let me ask you, Ray. When I watched a video of you that was 7 years old, you had initiated 500 people. What do you think that number is right now?
I think over 1,000.
Okay, awesome. And are you the only one who does like the shorter process, which I even thinking about doing the 21-day process, like
You don't
your
you don't need to do it, Aiden.
yes, and I love. Are you the only person that does the shorter process?
No, there's a few guides in the world. I think there's like 3 or 4 guides. I think what makes me stand out is
Yeah.
my grounding. Like if you take the 4 bodies, the 4 energetic bodies, so
Mm-hmm.
you have the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, and the mental body.
Mm-hmm.
So some guides are more on the emotional, spiritual. This is what you see for most people. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the mental, spiritual. I'm highly mental, very observant, and very science-based. Like the
Mm-hmm.
things that I used in order to initiate you was to slowly convince you of different things that you didn't think need convincing. The group does its own thing, but when you add facts to that as well, you gradually add facts, for example, that we're not totally closing up everything. We're still drinking some juice.
Yeah.
So, you don't need that much water because the water actually required by the bodies to digest, or that the juice is actually already taking out about 20 to 25% of the energy the body needs in order to digest. So all these things kind of make sense to the person, which helps them elevate their belief system and change their belief system. And that's why I'm more mental spiritual. Like I noticed that the people that join the event with me are usually people who need that more convincing in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they think before that they were familiar with Breatharianism, but they thought it's just for people who are like in a very high spiritual place. And then they meet me and they see that I'm okay, I'm very grounded.
Yeah.
The way that I explain things, because English is not my native language, then I simplify things in order to make it work, and that works for a lot of people.
And it's really interesting when I think back to my guy when we were on the plane. He's like, I don't really think this is possible. And I'm like, what? Why are you going with me? Because oh, yeah, it is possible. I was all in. So even noting that through the process, because he's doing it now, which I'm just amazed at that too, that he's all on board and doing it. And we are, yeah. And I loved this one comment that you made, which suddenly that was so striking to me. How when I had my children, the two things that I was taught was if they're crying, it's because they need to eat or they need their diaper change. So when we come into this world, we are trained that when you're upset, when you're crying, you get food will solve everything.
That's
That
right. That's why it's become an emotional baggage with food. That's why people watch Netflix and they eat. That's why they had a bad day, they eat. It's worse than alcohol.
Oh my gosh. And I have found I wouldn't consider myself an emotional eater because I teach workshops beforehand on mindful eating and really changing your relationship with food. So this also changes everything. Yet I found so far I have not really had any cravings for anything yet. When I have a day that is more difficult, that is a day I just want to eat something. So it's been so neat to watch that and to see that even within myself. It's just wow. All right, so we're going to talk about the benefits in a minute, but I also found this was very interesting that this started with a group of Australians in the 1980s. They channeled an entity asking, can humans survive without food or water? And the answer was yes. So the 21-day initiation was started. Is that correct?
Yeah, how did you find that?
Oh, like I knew you already, but I research and
That's really
we
old,
had
and
videos
yes,
about
that
it.
was from Jasmuin's group, and then a couple of them did the initiation according to the rules and milestones that the entity told them, and they found that they can live without food, and then that's ancient history now, yeah. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's how it started. I can also tell you what I feel in my belly. I
Yeah.
feel intuitively that the souls who are coming to me. I only work with light workers. You've probably noticed I don't have
Yes.
anyone from the mainstream in these type of events, and you kind of like see the level of people there is very, very high. The people who are coming intuitively feel that this is something that they already experienced in past lives, maybe in a
Yes, ma'am.
different earth or a different plane, and it makes sense to them.
Yeah, and that's
They're
how it was for
drawn to
me.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like
You,
surprised when they find it.
Yes. And you know what? Someone just commented on a video that I had about Tartaria that they didn't have bathrooms in any of their chapels or any of, so there was something there that had to do without eating or drinking as well. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And then I want to comment on this before we go into the benefits. So one of the things I love that you state, this isn't an all or nothing thing. This isn't black or white. That once you go through this process, you can decide what your relationship is going to be like with food. And for you, as I understand it right now, you eat one meal a week unless you're traveling or like you can shift it if you
Yeah.
desire. Okay. And then having one piece of fruit potentially, and you're not really looking at how much you drink a day, but guesstimating around 2 to 3 cups of water a week. Is that correct?
A week? No. I drink a coffee a day, a glass
Okay.
of water a day. Some days I fast. Some days I eat something small like a fruit. And I will eat something big if there's like a social event or if it's
Yeah.
something interesting that what my wife made and stuff like that. Yeah.
All
And you
right.
play around with it. It's true. In the beginning, my first year, I didn't eat anything at all. I was like, what you're doing now?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see where my body is going to take it. It was in the beginning, the first couple of months, I felt tired, I felt weak, but I wanted to see what they're talking about. And I understood that it's a lot about my belief. It's a lot about accepting the fact that I'm losing weight and accepting the fact that I'm afraid. And then, through the fact that you accept it, you liberate yourself.
You do. Okay, let's go in to the benefits because there's so many. So one thing I want to state before I feel like as we're becoming this new human and more crystalline, we are moving into less density. So I feel this helps with that. And also there's going to be a need for less sleep. So this helps with that dramatically as well. All right, can you go into why this is so great?
So I can tell you that a lot of people think that it has to do with food, but food is secondary. Food is the way that I reel someone in and then teach them about higher vibration. And with less food, you are in a higher vibration.
Yes,
And
you
what higher
are.
vibration does, of course, higher intuition, better connection to the spirit world, your higher self, if you want to call it, better yourself. Like if you are an artist, then you're a better artist. If you're a spokesman, you're a better spokesman. You become better at whatever it is that you were destined to do. Of course, there's the physical benefits. You spend less money, less time in the toilet, less time cooking, less time, all the stuff that is around food. That goes away. I sleep about 2 hours more than I used to. I sleep 2 hours less than I used to. The rule of thumb is about you go down about a third, and that's because the digestive system is not really working as much as it used to. Sharpness, longevity, meaning slow down aging, of course. and everything else that comes with that. I believe that one time we did this like game to see how many advantages can we count, and we counted about 20 different advantages of
That's
living
cute.
this type of lifestyle. Of course, you are almost disease free because your body is very, very clean. There's no toxins. So your body behaves like a 10-year-old body that diseases just don't come in or they move faster out. All of this type of stuff, of course.
Well, okay. And we also talked about without eating. And once you get into this, you realize, okay, so the big thing for me was I did a 7 day fast a while back. And I was amazed at how many food commercials and how everything was structured around food. Then when I heard about breatharianism, it hit me over the head again. Like it wasn't just, it was an abnormal amount when I really looked at it. And now, okay, so also freeing up, this will free up like 4 to 5 hours a day in terms of
That's
going to the
right.
grocery store, in terms of
That's
cooking,
right.
in terms of planning your meals. And there was one thing you also said about, tell me if this is right too. The garbage related to food and cooking is about a half
50,
of your
it's
waste.
about half of the waste. Yeah. So if you don't eat, about 50% of what you throw away is going to be recycled back.
All right. So going into Mother Nature and going into, because one of the things that we worked on too was having this major gratitude towards water and knowing that this will help Mother Earth and in terms of the need that we have for food and her creating and producing all this food. I mean, this is a game changer for the world. And in terms of starvation, someone asked me about starvation, and I'm like, well, there's also this collective consciousness right now that believes that you have to have food, you have to have this water. So it isn't like suddenly we go, oh, starvation is going to stop. Like I also feel like people need to be initiated and learn to
You are
understand.
absolutely right. If someone believes that they're going to be starving and they come out of a point of a necessity, it's
Yeah.
the opposite. You can see the people that came to the initiation, the people that are good in their life and they're looking for their next step in development.
Yes. And you also talked about that this would not be fitting. Like I have a friend of mine that we usually travel a lot and do things together. She is coming out of an eating disorder. And I said, this is not for you because this is not about, again, learning how to control food. Who else would this not be a fit for at this time?
People who are mentally unstable, they will probably do the process, they'll succeed in the process, but then they'll probably go back to eating food quite quickly after.
Hmm.
And of course, there are a lot of people who come just for the process. They want to detox, they want to do a dry fast in a group way, so it's easier for them. So it's not everyone like you that wants to live their life in this way.
Mm. What was my question going to be? Oh, in terms of like, I wouldn't recommend doing this on your own, just from my experience. And I know you also don't recommend that as well because it is such to have people around and to be going through it together and also to have
I wouldn't do it's not that I don't
yes.
recommend it, it's that I know for a fact that people who attempt to do this type of stuff at home
Mm-hmm.
will usually not persist afterwards.
Mm,
Because
okay.
in the COVID time, I had this online initiation,
Oh
and a lot of
man.
people did it. It was very cheap. It cost them $150, but the success rate was very, very low. Why? Because usually
Oh
it's the spiritual ego that says, "Oh, I can do anything."
yeah.
So you don't learn from the mistakes of others, and you stay around your parents, you stay around your siblings, you stay around your partner,
Your
and then
phone.
you're influenced by them. And then suddenly they cook something very nice, and everybody's eating, and you feel like, oh, I'm already an alien in this world. You feel sorry for yourself one day, and then you join them, and that's it. You broke it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And then the support that we have and the group we're continuing to chat, that is so beautiful. So again,
Yeah.
you're not doing this by yourself. You're doing it with everybody else that continues. And we didn't talk about this, but in doing this process, is it like for me, I'm going to continue. Is it usually 80 to 90% less food or again, 40 to 50%? What can people expect?
I can tell you that every person that goes through the initiation, every person will be able to drop more than 50% of what they used to eat. Those that continue for a couple of months, like the milestones and the guidelines that I gave you,
Yeah.
those are going to go up to 70, 80, 90% pure pranic nourishment. That means they'll only stay on 10 to 20% of caloric intake that they used to take. And maybe one of my students one day will take it to the next step to become a Breatharian level 4. I haven't had one of those, but I did have a student that went 3, 4 years with just water, which is also very amazing.
All right, so let's talk about that. We are talking about level 3, that there are a handful of people that are level 4. What does that look like?
Very, very few people in the world are level 4. That means no food, no water intake whatsoever. They usually live in a more humid environment because their body learns how to take the water from the humidity through the pores of the skin.
Mhm.
One of them was tested in the documentary in the beginning. There was light. He's called Parajani. He was taken 10 hospital. They closed him in a room. They had cameras rolling 24/7. They even measured. They measured his not pine gland, what is called the amount of pee that he has in his body. You
Yeah.
know, they saw that he has more pee coming in, preserved by the body, and then absorbed by the body, and then going like that again. That means that the body actually becomes sort of like this self-recycling of liquids. And again, these type of people usually are not like us. They
Yeah.
don't have a normal job, relationship, children, stress. This guy specifically was living in the mountains, in the Himalayan mountains, only coming down from his cave a couple of times a year. So that's why the level threes, and this is why I like to teach it, because the spiritual ego says, "Oh, I'm gonna go become a level 4," and my spiritual ego said that as well. And I had a channeling session with Bashar, and he said, "Are you excited about it?" I said, "No, I just feel like it will be a better, I'm not excited about it. I feel like I will be a better teacher if I can set an example of an extremity." He said that you are setting an example of the extremity that most people find that they can balance with their normal life and not become a level 4, go in the mountains, leave your wife, and be a deserter. So I
Yeah.
said, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and I'm just going to say whatever I'm doing right now. I want to teach the balance. I want to be a normal person, a good person, and I want to be very spiritual. I want to advance in that direction as well. And I believe that these two things can work together.
Yeah, and because it is to be a human on this world and is can have very many challenges and we talked about this too, Ray. I've never been a typical person in my family and grew up in the South and doing work where I work with higher level beings and spirits, and everybody looks at you and it's like you're a devil worshiper, you're a witch or whatever. So I've never fit in a way. I know I'm going to start fitting in more as the earth's consciousness increases. Yet I think that's good for me too, because in terms of you talking about being a lioness, hey y'all, I'm not eating. Well, Eden's, oh my gosh, she's done this and she's done that. So it was off the beaten path. So now she's doing this. Okay, I guess that's all right. And then I love telling people that there are people on this earth now that do not eat or drink at all, because that is always something they're like, what? Are you for real? I'm like, yeah, yes, it's on this earth now. On this earth now. Okay, I wanted to ask you. Okay, I know that you've had folks that have attended retreats, that there were two that went to the hospital and they had issues that were not about the initiation at all. Yet there was one person that passed on because after the dry fast, she consumed a whole bunch of orange juice. All right,
That's
how
not in not in my
not in yours? Oh
initiation.
my gosh, what
Yes.
do you know more of what happened?
Yeah, I do know. I do know. I hope it's not a rumor, and what I'm telling you is like verified. But it is my understanding that immediately after her dry fast, she ignored the safety instructions. You remember in the initiation, I
Oh
told
yeah.
you guys today is just water, and then tomorrow is just like very 10% diluted juice.
Hmm.
So she just immediately went to a 1 liter of orange juice, which is quite a lot. It's very, very acidic. It's not something that the body who has just went through an initiation can handle,
Hmm.
pretty much. And some people do that, because once you go up, you remember how we were. You were very full of gratitude. We were
Yes.
very optimistic, happy, and like you think that you're capable of doing so much stuff in the end of this type of initiation. And some people take it to the I can do anything. And no, you can't do anything. You're a physical, you have a physical body. There's some rules.
Yes. Well, and plus,
Yeah,
after for me, 57 years of eating and also eating breakfast, which I talk about, that's so much a lie too. So much of it is marketing. That for me, after doing the dry fast, which just I didn't get. There was one person in our group. I'm sure Stephen wouldn't mind talking about this because he's going to be on the show soon. Who experienced a lot of physical
yeah,
hardship,
yeah.
and because he really hadn't fasted or done anything like this before, so it was a total clearing for him. Bam. For me, I just experienced major lethargy, lack of sleep, but then I also had an incredible spiritual experience the day before we drank water. And that energy has slowly been coming back. I'm still, I would say, at about 80% of my norm, but it just keeps increasing every day. I also want to talk about, I love some of the eating experiences that you've done because this also blows away the concept of, you have to have vegetables and you have to have, okay, you ate cake for a while. Talk about some of the experiments that you've done with yourself.
Okay, so the first thing I did once I did the initiation, because I wasn't eating anything at all, is I measured how much calories I actually take.
Yeah.
And I went because I went on TV and they measured a lot of stuff with me. They took me to the hospital. They checked how much energy I spend. So it was very interesting for me to be through that process when eventually the dietitian says, "Look, you're consuming a few hundred calories a day and you're spending about 3,000. This is inconsistent with what we know." And I was like, yeah, that's why I'm here. And after that, I understood how much of that is in my mind and how much is in our mind about what we eat. Our intention, our vibration, our belief is a part of the construct of reality. Is that when I eat an apple and I say, "Oh yes, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and an apple is good for me and it's good for my teeth," how much that actually I believe that and the body consumes that. So what if I would believe that about desserts? What if I would believe that because I'm already pranic nourished for 80% or 90% of what I was then, the 10% that I do decide to eat is not the main energy that I need. So why not enjoy it? Why do I need to have something that's very mundane, like an omelette or rice or something that everybody puts, or bread or stuff that is very, very regular that people eat to stuff themselves? So I just, for a while, a couple of months, maybe even more, I just had the stuff that's tasty, desserts. And people went crazy. They said, "This is what you eat when you eat?" I said, "Yes. You don't necessarily need to understand, but look at me. I hardly sleep. I exercise a lot. I'm in really good shape, and I'm finally getting my weight back. And I eat cake."
This blows the door off everything. And then in terms of exercise, I know when we were there in Spain, also talking about the belief that certain exercises do certain things, that everything is shifting. All right, what would you say to that?
I believe that it has to come together. It's the intention and the action. You remember when we are talking about the 7 steps of manifestation? So one of them is setting the intention, believing that we can, accepting reality as it is, and then the action is the going through the transformation. So it usually comes together. And I really like to play around with this concept of the placebo effect, the belief system. How do I make myself believe? Because a lot of things, you remember we did the Ho'oponopono exercise, and a lot of people are like, "I already forgave everyone for everything." Yes, you forgave mentally, but your body still remembers it. And when you
Right.
remember it, you're still having, an emotional reaction. So that means it's not really gone. It's still there, only you silenced it a little bit. So our belief has a very strong effect on reality, and we keep forgetting it because we're stuck in the day-to-day reality with the dramas and the worries and the little issues that we have to deal with every day. But if when we were kids, we were imagining all the time. We were believing a lot of stuff. My 6-year-old still believes Whatever I tell him. If I would tell him that yesterday I visited the moon, he would tell me, "Oh, really? Take me with me next time."
Oh, that's sweet.
It is because that's how connected they are and how much they haven't still learned not to trust,
Yeah.
which is something that happens to us when we mature.
I am learning. This matrix that we are in and reprogramming. And to me, this is a huge part of it, this eating experience, because I went down all the rabbit holes looking at the untruths of the world. And this one was probably, I want to say one of the biggest, but it's been a while since I've opened the door. So I'm sure there was one that I was like, oh my God, this is so shocking. So, and seeing this too, this has opened the door for me also to go, okay, I can really reprogram everything. So it's exciting. And I want to bring in the galactic component also. Like that was something over the past, I guess, 7 years. Like I always believed there was more to this earth, yet now it's just coming to me in streams and light language. And just where are you with that? And knowing that you work a lot with Bashar as well.
Where am I in the belief that we are part of a bigger thing, like the
Yeah.
galactic family?
Yes.
100%. I'm the X-Files kid, the one that was drawn to everything that is beyond. I didn't really understand why. And then, it hit me 20, 30 years ago that there's a reason that they don't share a lot of information with us because they don't
Yeah.
want us to know. And we're controlled and manipulated. And I still want to be optimistic about it, but this is the way that the world works. The underlying world requires a lot of energy that is taken from negative emotions,
Mhm.
so the real world is kind of like we're blindfolded. But I believe that in the next couple of years, I'm already seeing more and more reports from Canada, France, United States, more and more like leaders like Trump that are coming and they're saying, look, there is a
Yes.
relationship here, there's aliens among us, and we're slowly letting you know more and more. The fact that Artemis 2 just came back to the moon after 50 years, and the fact that we had the comet, the Atlas,
Yes.
it meant for us to look outside of ourselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something there. It's just the story is now beginning to unfold, and the eyes are going towards space. You know that SpaceX is going to be the company, the Elon Musk company is going to be the company that is worth the most amount ever. It's going to come out in an IPO soon, and it's going to be worth more than like 1.5 trillion. The next coming company is only $600 billion. So just so you understand how much we're looking into space. And it's not about profit. This is going to be about people that want to pay $100,000 and go visit the moon. And then it will be 50,000, and then it will be 20,000, and then it will be people like normal people that want to go visit their base on Mars or base on the moon or wherever it is that humanity is going to set up next. So
And
it's coming, and I believe it's going to be in our generation. We're going to see
oh
a
yeah.
quite a big change.
Yes, I would agree. I had someone I is going to be on the show soon said that and he feels like in a month and I'm like I don't know if maybe certain people are ready. But I also believe in as we're going into the new earth, like we are in it right now. I think in the next 10 years things are going to be dramatically different. I'm so
They are.
excited about that.
Every year it's more and more and more. But you should also think about the fact that our soul decided to come to planet Earth.
Exactly.
It's sort of like my soul decided to be an Israeli and your soul decided to be an American. And there's a reason for that as well. So if we leave something, maybe it's not in tune with the higher purpose or the part we chose to play.
Very good. Is there anything else you want to speak of that we haven't covered before we go into the Just Be practice? You think we've covered it all, Ray?
Yeah, I think that most people that are going to be watching this,
Yeah.
they're not going to be excited about it like you and I that are kind of like living this way, and that's okay. So for a very, very normal person, I think that the best advice I can give you is
Yeah.
try to see if you're really hungry
Mm.
or you feel like having something. And it's very, very different. And if you are really hungry, then eat. And if you don't feel like having something, and I'm not being repelled, I mean not real hunger, try to see what happens if you just don't eat. And play around with this concept for a week, 2 weeks. Just see, wait a second, am I really hungry? And you're going to notice that first is that you're eating significantly less. Second is that you're not using food as a plaster, as a bandage for your emotional state. So you're actually encouraged to face whatever it is that you're dealing with and heal it by yourself. And then you're going to notice that you don't depend on it as much as before. It's going to be very natural for you to suddenly being more attracted to vegetables and fruits and lighter foods because there are less emotional eating foods. You know, when you're sad, you don't go for a banana, you go for ice cream. And then suddenly, when you see that you don't need that banana and you don't need that ice cream and you dealt with it by yourself, you make better conscious decisions.
Mhm. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that too. And knowing that fasting now is becoming, I guess I could say, more mainstream, would you even encourage someone, hey, just try a 24-hour
Hell
fast
yeah.
with water?
24
Give
hours
it a
is
shot.
nothing. Even
It is
48
nothing.
hours is really nothing, especially if you're drinking water. The rule of ketones is that you go under 50 calories a day if you want to stay on ketones, and that will give you that sharpness and that will get your body, to burn fat a little bit more. But if you want to go on zero, that's also okay. So black coffee, water, herbal tea, those are all okay. So it's not like a hardcore fast. A hardcore fast will be a complete detachment from any liquids.
And like if you stop at 7:30 at night, and so I'm doing my dry fast today. So one of the things in the initiation process is once a week also to do at least 24 hours no water. So I'm in the middle of that right now. So I stopped last night at 7:30. So tonight at 7:30, I'll
And you notice how easy it is now?
yes. Yeah, I
It's
still
very
can't
easy.
imagine doing the 3 days or more. Like I'm gonna wait a little while for that. But yeah, it's really not a big deal. I'm a little parched as I'm talking right now, but not bad. But yeah, I'd never done dry fasting before you, so now I'm just like, here we go. Here we go. And I do want to mention before Ray begins, the Awakening Summit I will be at in Lynbrook, New York this weekend. I'll be talking a lot about this. A lot of patriots, truthers, spiritual people. Come join the awakeningsummit.org. It's going to be fantastic. A lot of, people who know, like minds, love it, love it. I'm going to be driving because it's close to me, which is awesome. So Saturday and Sunday, come be a part of it. I will be there talking about this. All right, Ray, what are you going to give us today in terms of the practice, in terms of elevating, helping those who are listening and watching?
Just be
Okay, so
practice.
we're gonna do an exercise that's called the parallel universes exercise. It's actually an exercise from the world of manifestation,
Nice.
and it talks about how we align our intentions and internal, you can say, vibration into the outside world. In other words, a lot of 80% of the work needs to be on the inside. What I think about myself, how I perceive myself. And then that translates into sort of like a vibration or a resonance inside our body. And then the 20% of the outside of ourselves is the action. That because I portray myself now as better, whatever, then I start acting in that way. So it's a very simple exercise. You don't have to go into a meditative state, but you do need to close your eyes and just follow my guidance. Okay. So you want to do this with me, Eden?
Of course.
Okay. So I just want you to relax and try not to think about anything except listening to my voice. Now, I want you to imagine one thing that you really, really want in your life, one thing that's currently missing from your life. And again, because I'm asking you about that one thing, the first thing that pops in your mind is actually something that you're missing. It can be an object, an experience, a person, it can be money, it can be, I don't know, a relationship. Now, I want you to try to imagine that thing that you're missing as an energy. Feel its vibration. Some people that are a little bit more visual, you might see a color surrounding your body. Now, I want you to keep that in mind, this vibration of that thing. And now I want you to imagine what the vibration of not having it. What is the energy? Why are you lacking it? Why was this the first thing that came into your mind? Because you're missing it in some way. What's the vibration that's missing? What's the frequency? We already understand that every thought and every emotion and everything is a vibration. What is the lacking vibration for you? And feel that in your body because it's the first thing that you thought about. And now that you recognize it, I want you to imagine that there's a parallel universe. The parallel universe is identical in every way to our universe, except for one thing. In that universe, you have that thing, that person, that experience, you have it and you're living it. And see the differences between you and your other self. You're living it. How does your day to day change? How does your relationships change? How are you different? Imagine that. Imagine the two worlds and see the differences, feel the differences a little bit. And now, as you love yourself, you approach your other self and you ask them politely, could you help me copy your energetic signature, your DNA, whatever it is that makes you unique in the quantum infinite possibilities of the world? And I want you to imagine that you are giving your other self a big hug, and slowly that vibration that they have is being copied to you. You're not stealing it, it's being copied to you. You can feel it moving through your shoulders, into your body, into your mind, as if you're cloning their vibration, their frequency, their DNA. Exactly you only have that thing. And now, when the copy process is complete and you really feel that, and you look at yourself in the eyes, your other parallel self, and you say, thank you. And you feel that you're identical now, and you're going to come back to an identical world, their parallel reality. You're living in their parallel reality. Now your world is synchronized with their world. And now, when you feel that, I want you to go back inside and remember how that sensation of not having that thing felt in your body and recognize that that has shifted. Recognize that that has changed. The feeling has changed on the inside because you feel like you're already living it, you're having it, you're enjoying it, you are that other self. And you can open your eyes and come back to the present moment. And what this actually teaches us is that the change begins on the inside, right? This is what we talk about in manifestation, the secret, but they don't make it really, really practical with visualization. How do I connect with a higher self? What is vibration? We're slowly discovering so many different treatments with vibrations, with frequencies, with harmonics. Each color is its gemstone, you know? Each location on the planet, they all have different vibrations. And we can
Yes.
understand and relate and see that now. And we're discovering it now because it's a natural phenomenon, but we're discovering it only now.
And I want to thank you so much because I've been working on one key thing, and that was exactly what I brought in today. So that is going to help me with this further it. So awesome. All right, Ray, you are such a good person. I'm so grateful that I've met you. I'm so grateful that we're going to continue this relationship. Yeah, and I am so thankful for this initiation and what it is creating in my life because there's so much changing that's going for me now. So for me now, it's physical work, more of my vibration. I would also say like the past 2 weeks was like 5 years in terms of growth. I mean, it's just been wild and
I
crazy.
had I had the same thing, the
Did
same
you?
experience.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's like my the first year was like concentrated 10 years of karma and experiences like focused into like this very, very narrow until I said, okay, guys, I'm ready to shift the gear down and take life easier.
I know it's incredible, and I know it's happening to light workers and people that are in this right now, and it's challenging. Again, I am trying because this time was challenging, trying to move away from the word challenging into adventurous. Yet it was a lot, but the good thing is I can handle it, and it's good. It showed me so many things. So thank you for being you. I appreciate this connection, and I loved having you on the show today. So thanks. Oh, and let's give out your website. Oh my gracious.
Yeah, so my website is raymaor.com, Raymaor. And usually I have two events a year. One is in Sedona and the other one is in Spain.
Okay.
And yeah, Americans usually come to the Sedona one, American Canadians, Mexicans, but also Americans come to the Spain one
Yeah, and
if you
we
want to
were
travel.
Yep, there was another American who came, plus me and my gentleman were there, and then we had folks from Germany, New Zealand, Robert, and yeah, and they are like you expressed, they are like family because you come together and it's all these awakened souls. And for me, where I'm going to be moving, they're going to be a lot more, but I have a tight relationship here. So that was also incredible. All right, y'all, stay tuned. Next week, you'll hear from me, and Brad Olson's going to be coming up. I also have Twyla, who's going to be coming up talking in depth about the real ID. So stay tuned. See you later.
Bye.
There you go. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Truth Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.